knowing that if I so choose to, because it's the weekend, I just flop around and do nothing. And I think that's something that I think speaks to the most of us, in that we often feel like we're living for the weekend, which can be a good thing and a bad thing depending on how you look at it. Like for myself, I don't see anything in particular wrong with being super excited when you don't have to go into work. Because I emphasized this before, that even though there's a saying, if you do what you love, you'll never work another day in your life, as, you know, not being completely false, but categorically, is that there's still going to be days in which, even if you're doing something you love, you're still going to be tired at points. You're still going to have days where you don't want to show up, but the love of what you do is going to help encourage you to actively, step up and do what you can. Now, for the most of us that would have like a regular 9-to-5 job, or that are, just casually going about our average days, yeah, I think it's more than reasonable to be absolutely stoked for the weekend. And this is also where it kind of parlays into, I think you should have something to look forward to, especially on your time off. Whether that is a hobby, whether that is a side hustle, whether that is, some interest that you're wanting to get more into, you should definitely have a driving factor, or just something that that the work is done, I can actively look forward to this. I can actively be hopping on and playing on your Nintendo Switch, or it might be kicking back and watching and catching up on your movie list or something like that. But I just think that to make the most of your weekend in terms of actually like recuperating and recharging yourself, you gotta have something that you actively like doing. And honestly, there's so many things that could fall under, where, yeah, there's always that kind of, especially in the United States, our little voice in the back of our head that says, you should be productive. You should be maximizing your time. And hi, chat. If I'm not actively responding to chat too much, because yes, I am driving, so that's obviously why I'm not reading chat, but just talking about how for a weekend, not to go down the route of someone that wants to maximize efficiency, but just someone that wants to enjoy life, you should have something that you look forward to, like actively. Okay, now I'm pulling up to light, so now I'm going to read the chat here. I think it's recorded. No, it's not. It's just over my data. So that's why if it's coming across choppy, that's my bad. But as I was saying, I definitely think that with finding a hobby, with finding something that you're passionate about, that you're interested in, that honestly does not need to be this, I would say, overwhelming endeavor. Because for the most part, if I want to catch up on the MCU, if I want to, sit down and for whatever reason try to binge the entire Marvel Infinity War timeline in a weekend, then I can do so. That might be debatable as a, enjoyable hobby for some, but for other people, that might be their cup of tea. Or for myself, it's going to be a case of, I'm going to get to work on building computers more. I'm going to be able to work on going to the gym. I'm going to be able to work on my meal prep and cooking, which is something that I look forward to every single week. And it's these hobbies that kind of build up the ways that we spend our time after we clock out of our 9-to-5s, after we get to go home for the day and our time is just ours. Now, of course, this does not mean you skirt your responsibilities. I highly say that, nice to meet you, Charlie. I highly say that it is not a case of, absolutely disregarding any housework, any chores and stuff like that. But I'm just the emphasis is trying to find that balance between, hey, what do I actually want to do? What do I need to do? What do I want to do? And what am I looking forward to doing? And ideally, again, this is something that as you come across the end of your work week, you at least have an inkling of what that's going to be. You at least have an inkling of maybe you're going to go swimming, maybe you're going to go for a hike, you're going to go visit your local farmer's market, whatever it is. I just don't think that you should try to maximize every single point of it, because even if like you actively choose to do nothing and kind of go against the grain in that manner, I think that's perfectly acceptable, and honestly, more power to you, because being able to say, hey, I've opted to take it slow, I've decided that I'm going to do, of course, what my responsibilities are, but then after that, I'm just going to kick back and relax, then honestly, if that's what recharges you and rejuvenates you and gets you ready to hit the ground running come Monday, then do it. That's, I think, probably the best encouragement. And I, again, don't want to emphasize, I keep saying emphasize a lot, but I want to make sure that I'm drawing the kind of distinction between absolutely living for the weekend, like you hate your job, you hate going into work, and your only solace is that you know you have at least 48 hours in which you are not required to actively do something. And that part's not healthy. Man, this thing just keeps reconnecting. Sorry about that, chat. And let's see if by Charlie figured. Let's scroll up a little bit. But as I was saying, with the life that you want, the things that you want to do, there is time for anything, but not time for everything. So pick and choose what actively is going to be worth your time, because you only got so much of it that you get to spend on the things that you actively want to do and the things that you actively, want to get better at. Now, beyond that, and beyond just being happy that it's the weekend and I get to relax and go hang out with my wife, I didn't actually have much of a point besides that. And I think that is perfectly okay. Because it's just saying, hey, I have some goals that I'm going to work on. I have some projects I'm going to, projects that I'm going to complete. And then after that, I'm going to probably kick back and just enjoy getting to not have to be busy. 10-minute parking. Cool. But with that, chat, I'm going to end the stream there. Because again, I didn't have a whole lot to say on that front. But with that, keep everything simple. Have an amazing day. You amazing people. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. But go out there and do great things. I'll see y'all next time.